at it today. It is Wednesday, and we are playing Helldivers because Helldivers just launched this new Python Commandos group, and I desperately need some of these things. We've got the flaming dog drone. We've got a melee chainsaw weapon, which seems awesome. You can't see any of my gameplay because my stuff is all messed up. Let's fix that really quick. But yeah, there's some new stuff that they just launched that looks absolutely awesome. There we go. Now we got the gameplay going. So we got the chainsaw, we got some cool armor, and we've got the big one, which is the chain gun. So we are working on unlocking all of that. So that is what we are playing today, is some Helldivers to unlock this stuff. I haven't been playing a whole lot of Helldivers, unfortunately, and because of that, I don't have enough stuff to just like instantly unlock everything because I haven't been playing as much as I usually do. So we're getting back into it. We're a little festive today. As you can see, we've got our beard ornaments in today as well. It is almost Christmas, so everyone be prepared for that. So hello, good morning. It is so good to see you all. Let's jump into Helldivers and have an absolute blast. Let's see. What do I want to run? We're fighting bugs. There's a lot of annoying kind of bugs on this planet. So we're gonna grab our. You know what? We haven't done spear in a while. Let's grab the spear. Where's my spear? There's almost too many weapons now. I can't find what I'm looking for. There we go. All right, grab the spear. Let's grab 500 kg, and let's grab a napalm barrage. That should keep them at bay. I've got the new super shotgun out of the superstore. It's not the best weapon in the world, but I will tell you right away, it is my favorite weapon. I am a fan of the double barrel shotgun, so we are going to be using that today rather than our usual Flamin' Coyote. Let's see what we got here. We got a nest already. We've got some stuff going on. Okay. Nothing too bad to start with here. So actually, if we grab a resupply, we should be able to handle this nest right here, right now. A 1, a 2. And I guess maybe not that third. I guess it's blocked by that mount. I mean, I can see the majority of the thing. Why is it not allowing me? Does my spear really not recognize that as a valid target because it is hidden slightly behind a rock? Like that doesn't track, literally. Oh, that guy got obliterated. Holy cow. I didn't know the spear could hit that guy like that. That guy just got the worst of it possible. Dude got obliterated into nothingness. Alright, we got a bug breach already, so we are going to throw some fire. Let's resupply. And let's run. That is the power of the super shotgun you have just bore witness to as I exploded that guy with a single shot. As I said, it's not as good as the explosive weapons, but man, is it fun. Alright, let's go grab this thingy down here. Yeah, let's grab that and we'll just do a big sweep up and around. It's like shooting clay pigeons out of the air. I love this shotgun so much. It is an absolute blast to use. Did I just get hurt from... Was that falling damage or was that the body falling on me? I think that body hit me. I love the blowing the wings off this gun causes so much carnage. So much absolute carnage, and it is delicious. Alright, let's grab some samples for Super Earth. There we go. That's one sample. That's another sample. That's another sample. Good morning and Merry Christmas, everyone. We are almost there. 2 weeks, 3 weeks until vacation. I need the vacation. So we're about 2 weeks away from vacation. Very excited for that. We're gonna go do some photography. Actually, a band just hired me to do some band photography for them. Although, usually I'd be super excited for that, but they just want boring photos. Like when they're a heavy metal band and they're local to the area, and they said like, oh well, we really want like headshots of us to hand out. I was like, well, that's cool and all, but I thought like when you wanted band photos, I thought they were like invite me to one of their jam or practice sessions. You know, I could get them just shredding on their instruments, those sort of things, right? I was expecting a little bit more excitement, especially out of a death metal band. Like, yeah, headshots are good, and I understand why you need them, but it's a little boring, right? It's just a little boring. Like, I was expecting thrashing and headbanging and, you know, heavy metal, but we get boring professional. So I'm hoping I can convince them to let me at least do, like, bring your instruments or do something. You know, we want a little bit of action in these shots, a little bit of adventure. So we'll see. That's next Monday, and then of course we got Christmas lights still to go see. We got multiple Christmas lights to go see, multiple Christmas lights to go photograph. So we've got a busy day ahead of ourselves. And then of course work on top of that all. They're the never ending, never escaping from work. You will always have work somewhere in there, unfortunately. Which is why we're saving up for Italy, so we can escape work for 2 weeks and meet the Pope. Alright, that should be all the missiles we need. They're not the best selection of missiles, but you know what? We're gonna make do with what we got. Sometimes that's all you can do. Alright, missiles locked and loaded. Point the satellite. Satellite pointed. Problem solved. On to the next problem. I cannot wait to unlock the minigun. I really want to play with the minigun. It's so far away still, but it looks like so much fun. I can't wait to get to play with that. All right, let's see. Oh, there's a horde coming behind us, but we don't really need to deal with them, so we'll head over to the oil, I guess. Good morning, all of my lurkers. I see people just chillaxing and lurking in the lurking place. Unless you're chatting, maybe my chat's broken. I guess I should check that because I see you all there, but I don't see anyone saying anything, which is okay. It's all lurking is completely okay, but you know, I don't mind hearing from y'all as well, so. Okay. My thing says you're just lurking, and that is okay. Sorry to call out the lurkers. I know y'all don't like to be called out, but I just had to make sure my stuff's not broken. Time for the shotgun to really shine here as we exterminate a bunch of bugs. You can also set it to fire both barrels at once, which honestly is usually overkill and totally unnecessary, but it sounds way cooler. The sound of both barrels firing at once, like the chunkiness of it, is delicious. For democracy, good morning. Yes, we are spreading democracy with our new super shotgun, trying to unlock the minigun. So we are spreading democracy in the name of a minigun. because that minigun has been asked for so long, and it looks so cool. I cannot wait to get to play with it. And the Flame Dog. Like, I love the flamethrower build, so I love going all fire. So having the option of having the Flame Dog on there as well is so awesome. I can't wait to probably burn my teammates more than the enemies, but also, like, toast some bugs, right? Alright, I think we got him. I think we solved that bug breach pretty good. You can also, with the chainsaw and the super shotgun and the green armor, I think you could effectively roleplay as Doom Guy in the game now. I'm kind of curious to see what that would look like, is to be Doom Guy. I like your setup, very professional. Thank you. I've been working very hard on my setup, having a good mic, a really fun background. It's been a long journey to get to this point, and a lot of learning along the way, and a lot of disappointment. The thing I've been wrestling with a lot lately is I am not a niche down kind of streamer. I am make whatever content I kind of want streamer, and I finally hit a point where, like, YouTube can't find my audience because my audience is everybody, and that's really causing my views to suffer. So, like, when I make Helldivers content, I can get 50, 100,000 views wonderfully, but I don't always like to make Helldivers content, right? I like to make all sorts of content. So I finally hit a point where I think I need to reevaluate what I'm doing, because YouTube can't find me anybody anymore, and that's a bummer. I like chatting with y'all. I like hanging out with y'all. Hey Tufu, welcome in. Been a while since we've seen you. How are you doing this morning? Is that guy still alive? He is still alive over there. Let's solve that problem. How are you doing this morning? That's okay. That is okay, Kubli. I understand, especially this time of year, everyone is way too busy to feed a random streamer's ego and hang out with him, right? We've got presents to buy, we've got family to meet, we've got deadlines at work. I definitely understand being too busy to hang out and stream. I understand it. I too am too busy for my stream some days, but let's see, that doesn't look right. Maybe like that and like that. There we go. Okay. Got that. Resupply. And we're back in action.
Engaging terminal.
You can join after this match. I can invite you to the squad. I'm playing for about an hour more. That's about how long I can stream this morning. Is about 1 more hour, and then I gotta go to work. Love you, Orange Man. Stay genuine. You're a sub. Thank you. That is exactly the point that I've always had with my channel. Is just genuine. Find the people who want to hang out. For me is me. Because before I started streaming, a long time ago, I've been streaming for 4 years now. Before I started streaming, I used to watch a streamer named Grand Pooh Bear, and he was mostly a Mario Maker streamer. And I really enjoyed his Mario making streams. Listen to A Very Christmas by Jay Schlatt this winter. He dropped a new album, and it's copyright free. I'll check that out. Thank you. I will check that one out. I was watching Grand Pooh Bear, and he is mostly a Mario Maker streamer, but he also did a couple other things like Dungeons & Dragons and a few other things he enjoyed. Good morning, Dex. And he was talking about one day how frustrated he was because he wanted to stop making Mario content because he wanted to go play other video games, which I totally get. Like, even if you enjoy a game, like, sometimes you just need a break from it, right? So he's talking about how whenever he played a video game that wasn't Mario Maker, his entire stream would disappear. All of his loyal supporters, all of his friends who would hang out with him all day, refused to watch him play anything but Mario. So anytime he tried to make any non-Mario content, it would instantly flop, and it made him feel terrible. So he felt like he was locked into, okay, well, I guess all I can do is play Mario, and that's all I'll ever get to play. And so when I started streaming, I said, I I never want to be that way, right? I never want to feel like I have to stream something I don't want to stream. I don't want to feel like I have to play games I don't want to play, and I certainly don't want people that will only show up to watch me play a game and they don't care about me. They don't want to hear what I have to say. They're not interested in anything about me. They're just interested in the game that I'm playing. Like, that's not how I wanted to run a stream. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make sure that I play what I want to play. I say what I want to say. I do what I want to do. And we'll maybe find some people along the way who are interested in that. And you know what? We found, we found 7,000 people so far who are interested in my terrible opinions and my gameplay and all that. So it's sort of worked, but it's that feeling in the back of your head, right? Like the entire time, every time I look at a video that flops, every time I do something that goes poorly, I think, well, if I would have niched down, I probably could have done better. I probably could have seen more things if I had just, obeyed the rules and did the things that YouTube tells you to do. But have you got your silver? Not even close to my silver play button. The silver play button is for hitting, I think the silver play button is 100,000 subscribers. Yeah, I'm not even 1/10 of the way there. I don't think I'll ever be a silver play button sort of streamer. I highly doubt we'll find 100,000 people who want to tolerate this. They revealed a new Avengers for Doomsday. What are you talking about, Dex? The new Avengers? Like, is there... What do you mean? Is it like a whole new squad? Like, is it like the Young Avengers? Like they're bringing in all new Avengers? Or... I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'd love to know, so please tell me. Have you watched the TEDx talk of Carticus? I have not. What's that all about? Ooh, I blew that guy's leg right off. That was mean, but also ineffective. Did you watch Endgame? I think so. Was that the last one in the series? Which one was Endgame? We need a resupply very desperately, but we're gonna teach this guy our peaceful way of the shotgun. Yeah, I watched the last Avengers movie. I did watch that one. I enjoyed it very much. Alright, we're in trouble here, so we're going to toss that on ourselves, and we're going to hope for the best. Hoping for the best. So you know what happened. In theory, I should know what happened, but it's been a few years since I've seen that movie, so to be honest, I don't fully remember the ending. Because Endgame came out, what, like 2015? Like, it's been like 10 years since they ended that that season, that session, I don't know what you call it. It's been like 10 years, right? I know Cap got old. And that's pretty much all I remember. Is Spidey the new Captain America? I would love to see this Spider-Man, this iteration of Spider-Man become Captain America. I think Spider-Man with a Captain America shield is something the world needs. William Afton, good to see you. Good to see you, Green Blaze. Speaking of William Afton, have y'all seen the Regal movie theaters popcorn bucket for Five Nights at Freddy's 2? Like, usually I don't buy the popcorn buckets because they just look like an absolute waste of money, and I'm not going to waste money on a piece of plastic that's just going to sit there, and I'm not going to use that. But that popcorn bucket is pretty cool. I think I'm going to need to get the Five Nights at Freddy popcorn bucket. It is pretty awesome. Have you watched anything since 2015? Any Marvel movies? No. The second the Endgame was over, Marvel was dead to me. So, I haven't seen any of that. I have been keeping up on the Sony Spider-Man, though, because that stuff is good. Into the Spider-Verse might be the best trilogy of movies ever made since, if not better, than Lord of the Rings. As much as I like to enjoy other Christian content creators, I'm very against the focus that has been given to the Saints. Not here to be argumentative. Spider-Man is a Lone Ranger. Oh, someone resupplied me. Very, very awesome. The focus on the Saints, I will agree to some degree that there are some people I feel that focus way too much on the Saints. In fact, I've talked to quite a few people about like the Marian devotion, where they put a special emphasis on the Blessed Virgin Mary, which nothing necessarily wrong with that, but when every conversation becomes about that and you start to talk more about Mary than you do God or Jesus, I definitely see an issue with that, and I do see an issue with people who have, special devotion to saints. No problem with that. No problem learning from the lives of the saint. We've talked a lot about Saint Carlo Acutis and how he's influenced the next generation. But when that focus starts to overtake God himself, there definitely becomes an issue. So I think that there are some people, like with everything, there are some people who take it to the extreme. There are some people who take it too far. But in itself, the practice is not a bad thing. It is what the people do with it that makes it a bad thing. Like everything else in life, right? Like smoking a pipe in moderation might not be the worst possible thing. But if you do it too much, it can become a bad thing, right? So it's not the pipe itself, it is how the people interact with it. And that is true for basically everything in life. It's not the activity itself, it's the people who make it bad. Chaotically Fun Guy, welcome in. As always, joining us from the back of the classroom, most likely. The only saint I believe in is Lucifer Morningstar from Hazbin Hotel. I will tell you, I am not a fan of Hazbin Hotel. Everyone was talking about it, so I decided to give it a watch. And I'm gonna call that show overhyped and overrated, I believe. Like, I can see why some people are into it, but I think I just don't see the value in watching the show. To me, the art style animation isn't that great. The story definitely has not been that great. And while I'm usually not one of those Christians who goes out there and like, the show promotes demons and evil and it's going to convert kids, I definitely feel like without the proper context, there are going to be people who watch that show and get the wrong idea about ideas about Christianity from that show, and it's going to influence their relationship with Christianity, and I do think that could be a bad thing. In the same way that there's so many people who got interested in like paganism from the Percy Jackson series and becoming like a Greek god worshipper. It's not for kids. I definitely agree with that, but that doesn't mean kids don't watch it. The majority of the fan base of that show, from what I have seen and interacted with online, is 13 to 17-year-olds. Like, it may not be for kids, but that is their core demographic. Like Family Guy, right? We all agree Family Guy is not for kids, and yet we all know 13-year-olds who were watching Family Guy when it first came out, right? Like, that may not be their target demographic, but that is who is watching the show and enjoying it. So that's just the reality of it. It's for kids that are mature enough to understand it and not and what not to do. I don't doubt that there are children mature enough for that, but I just don't know with this next generation, right? The internet makes it really hard to know who and what you're dealing with, because like you're talking on Reddit with people like, wow, this is the most mature individual I've ever spoken to on Reddit, and it's a 13-year-old in Indonesia, and at the same time you talk to someone else on Reddit and like, wow, this is the most vile human being I've ever talked to who's spewing absolute garbage. This kid must be like 9, and then you find out it's a 40-year-old doctor from Alabama. Like, It is the quintessential Reddit experience, right? I personally grew up and never knew the gospel. I met a couple other Hispanics and only knew a saint and had no clue. Yeah, specifically in Mexico and central to the Southern Americas is struggling really, really hard with a cult called the Cult of Santa Muerta. And that is a branch off of Catholicism that worships the Saint of Good Death, who is not an actual saint, by the way. They're not a real person. They're essentially the Grim Reaper, and they've taken Catholicism and mixed it with their folk fake pagan religion. And that has been a real problem in the church, and the church has called it a problem, and they said that they want to solve the problem at a local level, so they are leaving the bishops to try and solve the problem, but I do not think they are actually solving the problem as of right now. It's a difficult problem to solve, right? It is a culturally relevant thing that has been around for a long time, so it's not something that they are going to fix overnight. But yeah, Santa Muerta is a huge, quote, saint in those areas, and it is becoming a very real problem. However, if anyone knows Santa Muerta and worships Santa Muerta or talks excessively about Santa Muerta, then I would not call them they're Catholic, but they are misled. So that is not a representation of what Christianity or Catholicism should be. That is someone that is misled severely on their faith. What are their teachings and what is a problem? So Santa Muerta, like I said, is like the Grim Reaper. It's the idea of you are praying for a good death. The problem with the teaching is, one, you are praying to a made-up figure. Santa Muerta does not exist. Santa Muerta is not a real thing. So you're basically praying to a pagan god while actively trying to be Christian, which obviously goes against the core tenet of Christianity. So that's the first problem with it. The second problem is it is often used as an excuse to do horrible, horrible things. Typically, the people who are worshiping a good death, Santa Muerta, tend to be people who are involved in like the gangster life or the drug running life or the cartels or things of that nature. And the idea is that I'm such a sinner, I'm going to die in a horrible way in a gang war, in a drug trafficking situation or something like that. So we pray for Santa Muerta to protect us, to give us a good death. So it is an excuse to live a sinful and harmful life, and then you brush it away with, like, I know that I'm wicked and fallen away, but Santa Muerta grant us a good death. So basically all of its teachings are against Christianity, and the problem is that they're trying to actively be a Christian while going against all the teachings by worshiping this pagan made-up idol. It's essentially the same thing what happened in the deserts, where in the Old Testament you have the people who are like wandering the desert who are supposed to be following God, but then immediately as soon as something gets hard or something they don't like, then they jump onto, okay, well, we're going to worship this golden bull to give us things. It's literally the Old Testament repeating itself. Exactly. It becomes an idol. Those lessons don't help me understand how to get a girlfriend. Chaotically fun guy. You are going to get a lot of advice on that, especially in our modern day world. The advent of the black pill, the red pill, the manosphere, influencers like Andrew Tate. You are going to be told how to get a girlfriend in so many ways. And let me tell you, don't be influenced by the super manly alpha males. They are not going to help you get a girlfriend either. The best way to get a girlfriend is to just let it happen naturally. Be yourself, find someone who likes you for who you are, and grow together. You know, that's one of my biggest regrets, God forgive me. When I met Emmy, my wife, I I lied about so much because I was trying to impress her. I was trying to get her to like me. And what I didn't realize was that she already liked me. And so I had to then spend years later in our life undoing all those lies I told when I was first dating because it was such a stupid decision. So, you know, that's why I'm saying be careful about that. If you have to fake who you are to get someone to like you, then that relationship is doomed from the start. So here, I'll send you a friend request. My game's not full right now. They'll join in. They're just randoms. Those are just randoms. They'll go away. All right. Men feeling lonely. Have you considered the far alt-right? That is exactly the problem we are facing, is that men are lonely and they are told the problem is the reason you are lonely is because of these women are terrible, or because the world has convinced you that you're not a man. But if you follow me and pay me money, I will teach you how to overcome that. And it has become such an issue. All right, there's a tofu. We got a tofu on the ship. On the mission. And we're going to launch a nuke. Everyone knows who I am, despite me not knowing them or forgetting who they are. Few people like who I am. Here's the thing. Who we are in high school should not be who we will be. Good morning, Berserker. Good morning. Chances are who you are now is not who you will be in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years. And I remember, I'm going to share with you my cringe and embarrassment. So learn from Waffles and don't repeat my mistakes. But I am going to share with you my most cringy moment right now. I remember vividly when I was in the 7th grade, I was talking to someone and I said directly, and I quote, "I'm so tired of when grown-ups say when you get older or when you grow up, because I'm as grown up as I'll ever be, because I was a 13-year-old man and I was ready to stop being a kid. I was mature and smart for my age." Oh, horrible. I then grew up to be a terrible person. Terrible. My late teens to early 20s, I was an absolutely horrible person. I used God to try and get women. I was a liar. I was a cheater. I was angry. I did everything I could to be the worst kind of monster I could be. And when I say cheater, let me clarify. I wasn't cheating on anyone like in a relationship, just cheating at video games, cheating online any way that I could beat people or take advantage, anything like that. I never was a cheater in relationships. I want to clarify that. But I was a terrible person, and I continued to grow, and that is when I found God, and I finally was able to fix my weight and fix my anger issues and fix all these things. So the point is, if people don't like who you are now, one, who cares? Who cares what other people think? But also, remember that you might not be who you are now in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Life is all about constant growth. If you are not looking back on yourself and cringing at what you saw, you have not grown enough. Who I am today hopefully will not be who I am in 5 years. You know, I still have room to grow. I'm still losing weight. I'm still working on issues that I have, my struggles with depression and other things like that. So you're going to grow every day. And that should absolutely be the goal. So just some general advice, I guess I'll give, is that just because that is who you are now doesn't mean that is who you will be, and it doesn't have to be who you are. If you're happy with who you are, continue to grow and forget those other people. If you're like, oh, those other people are right, I don't like myself either, well then today is the first day and a long step towards changing. And that's what Advent's all about. We're in the perfect season for it, right? This is Advent. This is preparing for the coming of Christ. We can sit here and talk about change and things we want to do and things we want to be. And this is the perfect season to talk about all of those things. We are preparing for the coming of Christ. So if you want to make those changes, now is the time to make those changes. As I made a video for this talking about, all you do is one small change. That's all you gotta do. One small change every day. If you drink regular soda and you want to start doing some diet soda, do it. If you walk 1 mile, walk 1.5 miles. Every small change will eventually lead to something bigger. I'm currently trying to keep my relationships with my friends good and trying to figure out how to be the very best friend I can, besides those people showing and expressing I'm not their best friend. Again, I'm going to say, the old man who yells at clowns words. Yeah, eventually we all become old and yell at clouds. 100%. You are right, Dex. Here's the other thing, and this is going to sound pessimistic, and this is just my experience, so maybe your experience will be different, and your experience doesn't have to be the same as my experience either. I don't talk to a single person I knew in high school. I went to high school with my wife, Emmy, but I didn't know her in high school. But all of my high school friends, not a single one of them I ever talked to in 10, 15 years. Most people don't talk to their high school friends again. Once they leave high school, they find out that those friendships only existed because they were in close proximity to each other, and they have moved past those. So work on those friendships, work on all those things, but also know that those best friends from high school oftentimes quickly fade away once we are no longer in high school. Once you're not forced to interact and see those people every single day, sometimes you realize that was the only thing keeping you guys friends, was the close proximity and not anything else. So like I said, continue to work on that. If that's what you want to work on it. But also know that there is a good chance that those friendships end there as well. Look at Dex the pop star over here with 3 friends. Over here bragging and showing off with all his friends. My dad is still in contact with his friend that he knew since he was a little boy back in the day. That's cool. That's cool that he's able to maintain that and keep that. Like I said, it is a rare thing, and it doesn't. My experience doesn't have to be your experience, right? That's the cool thing about life, is that everyone's experience will be different. You can't change or make yourself better. God reveals things you don't want to see. Humble yourself for those questions. So all things are through God. I don't want to discredit that. You're absolutely right. All things are through God. And I definitely credit my weight loss journey to help from God. But at the end of the day, you still have to do your part. God will not make you just lose weight. You still have to be an active participant in God's plan. When God reveals his plan to us, that is the beauty of God, right? God gives us the option. God will come to us and say, this is my plan. This is, oh, yes. Dude, you ran right in front of my gun. He will say, this is what I want for your life. This is where I want you to go. But we still have the choice to say yes or no to that, right? Just like Mary had the choice to say no to God's plan, we have the option to say no. Is that the best option? Absolutely not. Should we? No. But that is part of the brilliance of it all, right? We get the choice to say, no, I don't want to be a better person. No, I don't want to lose weight. No, I don't want to be a part of these things. Will you be miserable? Possibly. But I also don't like when people say, well, if you follow God, you'll be happy and everything will be good. Like, No, God promised us our crosses, right? Just because we're followers of God doesn't mean we're going to have an easy or good life. And it's the same thing I know a lot of people struggle with, the frustration of why is it that you see all these people who maybe aren't godly, who are doing things that we consider wrong or bad, and they're prospering. Why should I follow God if being evil or wrong gets me a better life? And that is a question I know that people struggle with, and it's a valid question to ask, right? Like, God, why would I want to choose to follow you if your plan is going to cause me harm and suffering while all these other people get a nice, easy life? It's a valid question, and I encourage people, when you have those questions, ask God about it, right? That's what you should be sitting in prayer when you're contemplating and praying and asking questions. Ask that to God. Pray that to God. All right, we got a bug breach over there, so let's drop some barrage on it. You can change yourself through your habits and how you think. Correct. That is how you should look at it. You are changing yourself through your habits, through what you think. However, it is with and through God, but it requires both parts. There are a lot of people who I've tried to help with, like, chronic sins and problems that they have, and coaching and things like that, who are like, okay, well, I have this addiction in my life. Great, you've identified the problem. That is step number one. You've identified what the problem is. Okay, what are you doing about the problem? I'm praying about it. Excellent. We should pray about the problem. Good. What else are you doing about it? Nothing. I'm praying about it. I said, God, take this addiction away from me, but I still have it. I don't understand. Well, it's because you haven't changed any of your habits. You haven't done anything about it. Like, it's good to pray about it. It's good to talk to God about it. It's good to ask for the strength to change those things. But you still have to do something. Or you can't just say, God, take away the addiction, and then hope for it to just go away, right? Like, you've got to be an active participant in it. You would change by your standard by habits, but God knows what you need. You ask for a wife, but do you have the heart for it? That is a very hard conversation, because when I met my wife, I was an awful person. Religion wasn't important. I was a terrible person. And I am so thankful that we had the chance to grow together. And in that growth together, we found God together and became Catholic together. So at that time, I thought I was ready for a wife, but I definitely wasn't. But we had the blessing of both being flawed people who had the chance to grow and learn together. So there's definitely merit in saying that you might not be ready for a wife yet, and I definitely agree with that. But it also might be God sends you a wife because you have to grow together and push each other to be better people. So you might not understand it in the moment, but eventually you will. And this is one of those things, I say this all the time, and I absolutely know it to be the truth. I don't remember where I heard it. I want to say it's a Waffles original, but I don't think this comes from my mind. I think someone else said it first. But, when God is painting the tapestries of our life, when we look at it, sometimes we are too close to the painting to see the masterpiece, right? Sometimes we have to wait 10, 20, 30 years to be able to step far enough away from the tapestry to say, now I see it clearly. When I was standing too close, I didn't understand it. But now that I'm far enough away from this, I can see and understand why all of these things had to happen as they happened for me to reach this point in my life where I'm at now. So sometimes that is, again, it's a frustrating answer. And I understand you say, God, I want an answer. It's like, okay, well, here's a riddle and you have to wait 10 years for the riddle to be solved. I get why that's frustrating. But sometimes that truly is the answer, that if you just wait, you will see that everything did fall into plan for a reason. I lived with a painful hernia for 15, 20, 30 years. Painful, embarrassing. But now I can see how that hernia, that medical condition, that suffering led me to a perfect place where I was able to meet my wife, where I was able to grow, where I was eventually able to get better. All those things happened, but it happened in the right time. I honestly fully believe that I don't need more or require a relationship to be happy or feel loved, but I'd like to have one. Okay. Yes. Absolutely. That is the right mindset to have. The people who go into a relationship saying that I will only be happy if I'm dating someone, that is destined to fail, right? You should be able to find... My controller just broke. My controller just broke. You should be able to find happiness on your own. If you're depending on someone else to make you happy, you are never going to be happy. So getting into a relationship does not fundamentally fix those problems. In the same way, that is a horribly flawed way of thinking when people are like, our marriage is in trouble, we're constantly fighting, what should we do? I know. Let's have a baby. If we have a baby, it will make our relationship stronger and force us to be better. That is an absolutely terrible idea. Adding a baby into the mix doesn't solve the fundamental problems. In the same way that if you are struggling with depression or unhappiness or loneliness, adding another person into that equation doesn't solve the fundamental problem. So that is absolutely the right way to look at it. You should not get into a relationship because you need a relationship to be happy. Get wrecked controller. I don't know. I think it's my USB ports. I think my PC's haunted, to be honest. This computer has had so many issues. I think it's time to legitimately start looking at another PC. And I don't think I'm ever going to get a Corsair PC again after how much this one has broken. Like, granted, I know I'm hard on my PCs. I know that streaming, dual streaming, making video content, I know that I'm hard on the PC, but I feel like this PC has had more problems than any other PC I've ever had in my life, and I'm so frustrated with that. Kaboom. That dude just got absolutely destroyed. There's also in Catholicism, there's these things that we call vocations, and that is what God has called us to do. And the thing is, and this is a hard pill for some people to swallow, not every person is called to be in a relationship. Most people are, because God gave us the commandment to be fruitful, to multiply, to go out into the earth. So yes, while most people do find relationships, we also remember that there are priests, right? There are priests. Priests in the Catholic, most Catholic rites aren't allowed to get married. They're not called to have a relationship. There are people in the monastic life, both nuns and monks, who aren't allowed to get married, who are, their vocation is not to have a relationship. So I know many people dream of having a relationship and that beautiful marriage and all that, but it is entirely possible for God to tell us that is not our position in life. There are some people who aren't meant to be in a relationship. There are some people who aren't meant to get married. Some people choose that life, and some people accept that vocation. There are some people who don't want that vocation, but that's what God has said is good for them. So that's tough, right? That's real tough to say, I want to get married someday, and for God to say, your vocation is to be a priest or a monk. Your lot in life is not to get married, but to help bring other people to God through the glory of the Benedictine monks or through the priesthood. You know, that is a tough cross to bear. Very tough cross to bear. But we need them. We need priests. We need monks. We need nuns. All those people help to bring other people to the glory and kingdom of God. Having a girlfriend's not an active or necessary goal in my life, but I'd like one. It makes me feel better about myself because I have issues that I don't like how I look. I struggle with that too. I do not like the way that I look either. I have always considered myself to look fat and ugly, and Emmy hates when I say that about myself, but I just being honest with you, Chaotically Fun Guy, I struggle with that as well. I have always felt that I'm fat and ugly and not worth looking at either, and I don't know that will ever go away. I'm sorry to say. I think that sometimes that low self-esteem, that whatever that is, trauma, sticks with us for our entire life. I hope it goes away. I hope it's something that either you grow out of or you find a way to manage. But again, my experience is not your experience. But in my experience, unfortunately, that never goes away. again, hard cross to bear. It sucks, but it is my lot in life, and I have learned to manage it and deal with it. Israel, welcome in. Yes, a relationship definitely should be a sacrifice. That is absolutely true as well. Oh, well, that's bad. That's bad. Glad to have you back. Welcome in. We're just having some good conversations. We're talking a little bit about God. We're talking a little bit about friends and high school and getting married and all sorts of things. So you've joined at a good time. We're having some good, solid conversation today. We are running low on ammo also, so that is a problem. I grew up chronically sexy. Now I'm fat. I'm still sexy, and fat is used way too negatively by most people. There is a real problem in our society. I don't use this word lightly because I know that it's become like a whole TikTok thing, and I know that there's problems with it. However, I'm going to talk about it because there is a real fat phobia in America, and there are people who instantly think, well, if you are fat, then you are worth less as a person. You are a terrible human being, or you are untrustworthy, or you are inherently somehow evil, bad, or wrong if you are fat. That is a real problem in America. In fact, I was talking to another Catholic person, a person who calls themselves Catholic and believes in the Catholic faith. And they were telling me that if they meet someone who is fat, then they consider them to not be Christian. They are not good people because they are undisciplined slobs who are unworthy of God. And that's exactly what they said, that their fatness shows that they do not love God and they are not actually a Christian, because if they were, they wouldn't be fat. And that was the most ignorant and terrible thing I think I've ever heard someone say. Like, you're not accounting for people who are dealing with trauma, addictions, people who grew up in rough childhoods that have caused some of these issues. No, just, okay, you're fat, so you're undisciplined and unworthy of the love of God. Like, how ignorant and horrible for you to say. And I definitely scolded him for it, and I tried to educate him on it, but he was having none of it. It was black and white for him. If you are fat, then you are unworthy of God's love. And it was horribly gross to hear someone say that. Who, again, they represent the Catholic community, right? That is one of the worst things about other Catholics, right? Like, sometimes when someone meets a Catholic, they base their entire knowledge and understanding of Catholicism off of that one interaction that they've had with that person. Welcome back, Ben. So for somebody, that's what they learned about Catholicism. Oh, Catholics think that fat people are unworthy of God's love, or that they're evil, because that was their interaction with Catholicism, right? And that's why I try to be very careful about what I do and say and how I represent Catholicism, because for some people, I am their interaction and knowledge of Catholicism, and I don't want them to get a negative view of Catholicism based off of something stupid I do or say. So that is why I'm very, very careful about my words and how I interact with people, because for some people, I am Catholicism. That is why Catholics believe in that there can be the sin of going out and doing something that, even though it's not technically wrong, it appears to be wrong, and it can lead other people astray or lead them the wrong path. That is something that we have to be aware of. That is something we have to manage, because even though it may not be true, reality is what some people perceive, right? So that is a very big issue in Christianity and Catholicism as a whole. Thank you. Person gave me some extra ammo. That's why, like, when like marriages, for example, come up, there are there are certain weddings that Catholics are told not to attend, not because the wedding itself may be wrong, but because the appearance of being at there would be supporting or showing support publicly for something that we might denounce. And that is a very hard issue that comes up very often. And I've had to be in that position. I've had to turn down weddings saying like, hey, I'm not saying that I dislike you as a person. I'm not saying I think that you're going to hell, but I cannot attend your wedding. And that's a very hard conversation to have. Should I buy a Kindle? You know, I'm 50-50 on that one. You know, I always encourage more reading, but I don't necessarily like Catholics. Sorry, I just read the Catholics. I don't necessarily like Kindles. What a Freudian slip there, right? I don't necessarily like the Kindles, one, because I see all the horrible things people say about Amazon and the company, but also the library is right there, right? Go to the library, support your local library, get the library books, support them in that way. So maybe a Kindle, but maybe instead support your local library, right? I missed a story. I was in the Boy Scouts when I was younger, and for some reason we had a fundraiser one year or something. Long story short, we ended up serving spaghetti to a Catholic church, and everyone was really rude, but that's my extended experience with the Catholic people. Catholics love their fundraiser dinners. 100%. Catholics love their fundraiser dinners. That I can believe that you guys did that, and I can definitely believe that everyone was rude there. I can 100% believe that. I just talked the other day about how much I hate the judgy, rude Catholics who we all pray for more babies in Catholic families and all that, and yet if a baby dares to cry at church, they side-eye that parent and like shame that parent. Like, how dare your 2-year-old cry during mass? Like, I can definitely believe those Catholics were rude. That happens far too often. I, on the other hand, will never attend another Catholic wedding. They are years long. You know, it's a good thing that Catholic weddings are long. And I know that people get bored at weddings, and that's going to sound contradictory, but I think there are far too many people who don't take weddings seriously enough, who don't take the matrimony, you know, the sacrament of marriage serious enough. So if you can't sit through a 10-20 hour wedding, how are you going to sit through a 10, 50, 25, 100 year marriage, right? So the longer and more boring, the better, because I don't think Catholics take marriage serious enough, let alone the rest of the world. Like, that's one of those things that we go back to, like, why do people always talk about the Catholic divorce rate? Well, because we're supposed to hold ourselves to a higher standard, right? Like, if we're going to preach that marriage is this sacred and wonderful thing, why do we have just as high as a divorce rate as the rest of America, right? Like, it should be lower. What is the name of the game? This is Helldivers 2. It is the sequel to Helldivers 1, which was a indie game that basically no one played. But this one became like a cult classic. Like, it blew up out of nowhere. It's a little old now. We're going on 2 years, so less and less people are playing it. But it is still a fun time. Still a 10 out of 10. Super recommend. I do agree that Catholics are rude. It's not really a reflection of the religion itself. I believe most people are bad at heart. Religion has a side effect. Oh yeah, that's definitely true. There's definitely a lot of people who hide behind Christianity as a reason of like, well, I can't be rude, I can't be bad, I'm a Christian, so everything I inherently do is good and godful because I am good. And that's why, like, the Presbyterians believe in predestination, where God has predestined you into heaven, and that is such a terrible belief to have for a lot of reasons, but also because it makes for terrible people. Because once you can say, well, God's already said I'm predestined to go to heaven, God's sending me to heaven, you can act and do whatever you want on earth, right? Because, well, God's already said I'm going to heaven, so why should I have to act like a good, moral, better person if God has already guaranteed me a spot in heaven, right? So there are definitely some people who use Christianity as a reason to hide behind and say, well, I'm a good person because I'm a Christian, right? And I've met a lot of people who are like, well, I try and be a good Christian. You know, I pray to God and I have a relationship with God. Now let's go lie and cheat and steal and do all these things, right? Like, God is this secondary where it's like, well, yeah, I'm not going to stop lying, but I like God. Not fully what they believe. I couldn't tell you what every denomination believes, because there's simply too many denominations to remember what they're all about. You know, there's too many denominations and more coming every single day. Me and my Baptist friend used to have this conversation a lot about being saved. He would claim that because he's saved, he could do anything he wanted and still go to heaven. Yep, that is a very, very terrible view that a lot of Christians have, and a lot of people will also back this up. There's very common in Baptist circles this thing called once saved, always saved. And they believe that once God has saved you, you are permanently saved. And nothing you can do will get rid of that because God has already chosen to save you. However, if you then go and do something absolutely terrible, what they'll say to defend that is they will come out and say, oh, well, he was never actually saved. He thought he was saved, but he actually wasn't. So once saved, always saved is still true. That person just really wasn't saved. And that's how they defend that belief, is just saying, well, he just really wasn't saved. All right, Real Stench, off the toilet, back to work. Have a good day. Thank you so much. I am enjoying the new War Bond. We'll see you next time. Have a blessed day. Hopefully next time you join, I will have the minigun. Saying I'm a Christian is like saying I like hiking on a dating profile. I definitely agree. And I know this is one of those terrible views that couldn't actually happen, and it never will work in a million different ways, right? It will never actually work. Oh, Tofu, thank you. Let's play with the minigun a little bit, right? I know that in a million ways this will never actually work, but if we could gatekeep Christianity in some way to prevent people from saying that they are Christian unless we can empirically prove it, I definitely think the image of Christianity would be better off. For example, if there was an app that tracked how many times you went to church, and we said, okay, there's 52 weeks in a year plus holy days of obligation. So let's say a minimum. Let's say you have to go to church at least, we'll be kind, let's say 30 weeks out of the year. And if you don't check into your church 30 times in a year, you can no longer say that you are Christian. I'm just saying that I think that the image of Christianity would be a lot better if we could start saying, okay, well, that person says they're Christian, but here's proof that they're not really, believing in the things or doing the things and all those sort of things. I think that Christianity would be in a much better place optically. But again, I understand how realistically nothing like that would ever actually work. Dex, I have your Haunter. I have no idea why my Slowbro didn't evolve. Maybe he's just a little slow, like I said, maybe he's doing it his own time. Maybe it's like, wasn't there a whole Pokemon episode about that? Wasn't there a whole Pokemon episode where, the Pokemon didn't want to evolve and was fighting the whole evolution thing because they liked who they were and they didn't want their trainer to force them to evolve into something else? Maybe your Slowpoke is trying to tell you that. Maybe your Slowpoke is saying, I don't want to evolve. I want to be who I am. Be true to one's own self. His argument was that he was saved, so he wouldn't do things to jeopardize that. No. That is very common among a lot of Christians. That is a very common belief, and like I said, it's a very flawed way of thinking, and it's honestly in a lot of ways a very terrible way of thinking. That okay, well, God's already letting me into heaven, so there's everything that I do must be ordained by God, so I can't do anything wrong because He's already promised me a place in heaven. That makes for bad Christianity. I haven't been to church regularly since I was 16 because I felt hypocritical living in sin daily, going to church as a mask for others' approval. Here's the thing. Here's the thing I'll say for that. The church, its purpose, what it is, the church first and foremost will always be a hospital for the sick. The entire purpose of the church is for people to come who are sinners, who do wrong, who have fallen short in some way. So you don't feel bad about going to church as a sinner, as a hypocrite. That is the best place to be as a sinner and a hypocrite, in that we experience God in his house and go to him and ask for the help and the tools to overcome those sins and wrongdoings. That's another very common belief people have, is like, well, I shouldn't go to church because I'm doing things wrong. No, that is the best time to go to church, is when you are doing things wrong. Because that's where we can encounter God and ask for those change and reflect on those things. So I encourage you, if you're still in that problem of feeling like I'm a hypocrite or I'm a sinner, go back. You are always welcome in a church, especially as a sinner, especially as a flawed person. Go to the hospital, take your medicine. Now, right now it's Advent. One of the big things about Advent is we do these things called penance services, where we call in a whole bunch of priests from all over the area to come and do confession, because we want everyone to go to confession before Christmas. We're literally preparing to meet Christ at Christmas, so go to confession. And you know what? Every single Catholic in the world, over 1 billion Catholics, could probably benefit from going to that penance service and being back in that confessional and telling God what they had done wrong in preparation for Christmas. So you're not alone. When you go to that church as a sinner, you're literally surrounded by 1 billion other people in that same space as you. All Catholic services, every single Catholic service begins with an act of contrition, where we say, through my fault, through my fault, through my most grievous fault, we are admitting to the congregation, to all the angels and saints in heaven, and to God himself, that day, that moment, that week, that month, we too have fallen short. We have sinned in our thoughts, in our words, what we have done, and what we have failed to do. We are all sinners. So when you go to church, there's hundreds of other people around you, and every one of them is admitting the same thing. That they too have fallen short, that they too have all sinned, that they too feel unworthy. But that's why we're there. We're there to get better. We're there to be better. We're there to ask for God's forgiveness and spend time in his house and be better. All of that to say, Ben, go to church. Don't feel like a hypocrite. Don't feel like you don't belong because you might be living in sin or have sins on your heart, because every single person in that congregation too feels that way. If another crusade were to happen, what denomination do you think would lead the charge? All right. I am not a crusade expert, and the crusades are a very hard and complicated topic, talking about defensive war and that there was tragedy and people who did wrong in the crusades. I hope to never see another crusade. I hope it is not necessary. I hope we never see another crusade. However, if another crusade were to happen, I could almost guarantee that it would be the rad trads who are leading the charge. The radical traditionalist Catholics or Eastern Orthodox most likely are going to be the ones who would be out there crusading.
Destroyer has left squadron.
All right, we got time for one more match. One more. Let's do it.
Allied destroyer has engaging orbital thrusters. Hellpod thrive.
Let's play around with my favorite build for funsies, right? We're going into this for funsies. Let's change our armor into the Salamander. And let's grab Napalm Airstrike, Napalm Barrage,
Allied destroyer has joined squadron.
the Flamethrower, and Expendable Napalm. We are going to burn all the bugs. We are going full fire fight. There shall be fire. I've never really watched Beavis and Butthead, but I know there's a lot of episodes where Beavis goes, fire, fire, fire. That's what we're doing. Fire. I still have faith in the Lord, and, you know, the people of the church, I still pray, and I pay tithes, just not to church. I donate to others where I see the money is going to and who it helps. James, welcome in. We are doing good today. How are you doing today? I try and give money to the church. Definitely. The church does a lot of things. We have a lot of charity programs. I also understand the church needs money to operate, pay its staff, do all that. But I definitely agree that there are some churches that don't necessarily need our money, and the money is better off going to causes that are better. Does, you know, it's one of those things we have to ask ourselves, especially like the mega churches, right? If the pastor of the church can afford a Rolex and a private jet, do they really need our tithes? And the answer is no. But I've also talked a lot about money, right? My church spent a lot of money on a new parking lot, and that was my first thing, was like, well, how can we justify spending $100,000 on a parking lot when there are literally people starving to death? We don't need a parking lot. We need to give to the poor and the needy. But then I realized, like, well, that parking lot's going to allow more people to come to the church, right? And we need that also. So it's definitely a difficult thing to talk about the church and the needs and money and all that. And sometimes all we can do is pray for the church to do what we feel is best with the money. My friends don't want to be friends with me after I got arrested a couple weeks ago. We just had that conversation, actually, about, you know, the friends we have in life might not be our friends for life. But I'm sorry you're going through that. It's the whole male loneliness epidemic is a whole problem. So for people to not have friends is a difficult thing. More fire. I love the flamethrower. All right, we're going in. That guy's got a bug stuck to his beard. Oh, he got me. He got me. My church was very frugal when I was a child. Now my church has definitely modernized since I quit going projectors, flat screens. Okay, the flat screens annoys me. And I will throw my own church under the bus on this one. Every year, they release a Christmas wish list where they talk about items that they want for the church. And every year, they ask for new flat screen TVs because we teach in classrooms, and the flat screens TVs they use to have the stuff that they're teaching on. Okay, I get that. But why does it need to be a new 55-inch flat screen TV? Why can't the church just go to Goodwill? You can go to Goodwill and buy a big TV for like $15. Why does it need to be new? Why can't the church go to Goodwill and buy a used TV? Yeah, it might last only 5 or 10 years, but why are you asking for people to drop $500 on a brand new flat screen TV when you can go get one from Goodwill used for pennies on the dollar that works just as good. That is definitely one that annoys me. I don't mind like the projectors so everyone can see, but I do question, why does it need to be a brand new TV when a used TV will work just as good? That is definitely a question. You know these things have blood for oil? Yes. Well, maybe not. We use their blood to process into oil, but maybe it's not flammable until we process it. Maybe it's like, maybe the processing turns it into oil, so maybe it's not oil directly, but it turns into oil through super processing, so maybe that's why they're not as flammable. But I would definitely like if they exploded. That could be fun. That could be a fun variant. Oil-filled bugs that cause super explosions. I was arrested for indecent exposure. Well, I mean, if you did it, right? Like, and that is definitely their prerogative to say that I don't want to be friends with someone who did this thing, right? We can't force someone to be friends with us, so I actually learned, I was looking up the indecent exposure laws in my state for something that I was doing. I know that sounds really shady and suspicious, but I learned while I was reading the actual law itself. You know how a lot of people will say like, oh, well, I ended up on a list because I had to pee in public and they slapped me with this charge and now I ended up on a list. That's actually not possible in the state I live in. The state I live in, you cannot end up on that list for that specific charge. So apparently, and that's true for some states. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say every state. But it seems like it's a possibility that a lot of people who say that they end up on lists because of that are lying about it and actually did something else and ended up on that list for that. So just an interesting piece of trivia to know. I'm from the UK. Well, I know nothing about UK law, so I could not tell you anything about the UK law. So, in fact, I probably couldn't name a single law from the United Kingdom. I could guess at one. I'm pretty sure the UK has laws like probably don't go around murdering people, but I'm not even confident that that's a law, right? They have a separate charge unless we're talking about that list. We are talking about that list, but like I said, in my state, that you cannot end up on that list for simply urinating in public. It literally cannot happen in the state that I live in. So when people say that, at least in my state, they are clearly hiding that they received that charge for a different reason and they don't want to admit it. All that to say, just be wary of what people tell you, right? All right, we're running. Oh, we're running. Not fast enough, apparently. The UK is 2 days away from arresting you for saying you're Christian. There is a, I read a Reddit article, so I don't know what's actually true on this one. So, grain of salt. This started as a Reddit news piece that I read that said Quebec in Canada is trying to make some forms of like public prayer and religion absolutely illegal. So is it true? Again, I don't know. I just saw a Reddit article on it, but it does appear that there might be some more strict tightening coming to Quebec around that. Fire! Fire! But, of course, it's also Reddit, so grain of salt time. Just because Reddit says it, especially whenever you're talking about religion and Reddit, you know you're about ready to get the most unnuanced, unhinged take of all time. I have read some interesting things about Muslim/Islam in Dearborn, Michigan. It does seem like there was some big protests coming out of America from Dearborn, Michigan on that topic. But again, I'm not well educated in that topic. I don't really know what's actually happening. I just saw that some people were having a big protest around. Allegedly, there was a siren playing like the morning prayers, and it was breaking city ordinance, and they were not doing anything about it. That's what I've heard, but I don't know the actual full and truthful story because I got it from Reddit, and basically anytime I get news from Reddit, I'm 50-50 on if it actually happened, if it actually existed, you know? Reddit's not exactly known for its balanced take. Alright, Ben, have a good morning. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time. Have a good day. We'll be back at it on Friday. Hope to see you then. In the meantime, have a blessed day. Oh, this armor makes me so chunky. I'm running slow. But I do know that there are some laws I've read about in the UK, and there was like a huge story about like prayer-free zones. There is like some places that are protected. Like in America, you can go outside of a Planned Parenthood and pray and protest. But apparently, in some places, at least in the UK, I believe they're considered like protected, sensitive areas, and they don't allow prayer and protest in those areas. I know that there was some big controversy around that not long ago, but again, I don't actually know what the actual law says. I just know that there was someone who got arrested for it, and that became a huge controversy. The mayor is Muslim, so he didn't care and said deal with it or leave.
You like the taste of freedom.
You know, I have never heard of a town being happy with their mayor. I tell you, every town I hear about in the news hates their mayor and says their mayor is doing something wrong. But there's at least 2 towns that have a dog and a cat as their mayor. And I have never heard them complain about their cat mayor or their dog mayor. So maybe they're on to something. You know, maybe we don't need mayors, because it seems like everyone is unhappy with their mayor. Maybe everyone just needs to elect a dog or a cat as their mayor, and that will solve some of the problem. Supposedly they arrested a man over there for telling a Muslim that he loved bacon. See, I don't know if I believe that. I saw in some of the protests I saw, there were a lot of people doing the whole, I really hate this, and I think it's one of the most ignorant things that people can do. They go around like wrapping bullets and things in bacon so they can go and beat people with their bacon sticks, because they believe, well, you believe that if you touch pork you won't get into heaven, so if I wrap my bullets in bacon and then I fire them at you, I can deny you entrance into heaven. And how absolutely evil do you have to be to willingly believe you have found a way to deny someone entrance into heaven? Like, you can't possibly think you are the good guy if you are actively finding ways to deny people entrance into heaven, right? Like, that is literally the most evil thing you could possibly do, is actively deny someone a way into heaven, right? Like, that is, I can't possibly think of a more evil thing you could do. I'm struggling. I'm trying to think of something more evil than that. That's basically the pinnacle of evil.
Requesting air support. Have a taste of
I talk about evil as I'm sitting here barbecuing these bugs alive for daring to defend their home planet, but you know, maybe a little bit of hypocrisy from Waffle. I'm saying like that's evil as I'm barbecuing the bugs. Is it hypocritical? Maybe. Is it going to stop me? No. Am I going to barbecue this big bug? Yes. I mean, they're following a false prophet and other stuff. No, not sure a lot of them have a good chance of getting into heaven anyways. You know, it is a very hard topic, but I will defer to the Catholic teaching that that we are not ones to judge, right? Like that is ultimately God's decision, and we leave it up to God to make that decision. And you know, Pope Francis talking about that there can be some truth in all religions. I'll defer to the big man himself on that one. I'm not exactly in a place or position to condemn other people to hell, especially when I'm going to confession myself. I was just talking about these big penance services. My turn to go to confession. I was yelling at people in traffic and not loving my neighbor, so maybe I'm not in a place to say anything, because guess what? Waffles ended up in that confessional booth just like everyone else too, so thank God for the mercy of God.
Calling down supplies.
Oh, we're in trouble. We're dead.
Request approved. Reinforcements have been launched.
Democracy has landed.
Oh boy, this is a bad spot to be in. This is a real bad spot to be in. Let's run.
Thanks, Emily. Reloading.
I'm stuck in a rock. Anyway, when are you picking up ZA again? I don't know that I'll ever play Legends ZA again. I thought that was an absolutely abysmal game to play. I had zero fun, zero of the time playing that. So maybe at some point we'll pick it up for a challenge run. You know, I do enjoy my Nuzlocks. Maybe I'll enjoy it more as a Nuzlocke. But yeah, maybe we'll do a Legends ZA Nuzlocke. But as just like a game to enjoy and play, I do not see how anyone played Legends ZA and had any fun in that. That was such a terrible experience. 0 out of 10. Would not play again. I know. I'm sticking the mud, Waffles. But, you know, Dex always says it's because I have no whimsy in my life. But look at my beard. Look at the whimsy in my life. Dex can no longer say that I suffer from a lack of whimsy, because I have beard ornaments, and you do not get more whimsical than that. So, take that, Dex. I have found my whimsy, and it is beard ornaments. Also talking about evil as I'm actively kidnapping the unborn children of these guys. I spit out my water when you said lack of whimsy. I know, right? That's an absurd thing for Dex to accuse me of. I am the most whimsical streamer of all time. And yet Dex is out here accusing me of a lack of whimsy. I watch My Little Pony. How much more whimsical can you get than that?
You may proceed to extraction when ready.
Speaking of, if Dex said it, maybe you do lack whimsy. He's a smart guy. Okay. Not denying Dex is a smart guy. But okay, Pokedex, we love you here. We love you here. But if Dex is so smart, why does he hate it here, and yet he's bright and early every single day for his daily dose of punishment? A wiser man might just leave. Not saying leave, Dex. We don't want you to leave. Please don't leave us, Dex. You're literally like 1/3 of my audience. If you leave, my views will go down by 30%. So don't leave us, Dex. But also, you know, it reminds me of there was that study. There was a study done where they took a bunch of men, specifically men, manly men. They took a bunch of men and they stuck them in a boring, drab, gray room with nothing to do. And then they put a little machine in the room that when you touch it, it shocks you. And they found like 70% of the men would rather shock themselves continually and harm themselves rather than be bored and sit in the boring room. That's what I feel like my stream is to Dex. Dex is sitting at work, bored, so he would rather shock himself by being here than be bored at work.
Requesting advanced weaponry.
Tagging location. Requesting advanced weaponry. Throwing support.
That is what my stream is.
Calling down a support weapon.
The shock method that keeps him from going stir crazy from boredom.
I'm out.
Am I close, Dex? Blink once for yes, twice for no. 3 times if you need help. He's not responding. He's double checking his life choices now. He didn't realize escape was an option. He's saying there like, "Oh, I didn't realize I had the option to not just not show up." Huh.
Orbital inbound.
That is a lot of fire that's about ready to come rainy. You shouldn't have said anything. By the way, oh wait, no, never mind. I was gonna say, Twitch is releasing all their statistics, and it'll tell you who your favorite streamer is, who you've been watching. And I was gonna say, y'all better have me as your favorite, but then I realized I don't stream over there, so I guess I can't be your favorite over there. I better be your favorite YouTube streamer, since there's only like 10 of us. Now it's just me in here. It is. We scared off Dex once and for all. We did wrong.
Pelican 1 arriving at coordinates.
You're the only YouTube streamer I watch. See? Favorite by default. That is how Waffle stays winning, by being your only option.
Reinforcements. Package acquired. Dropping package.
Countdown initiated. Stand by for takeoff.
New name, Burned Waffles.
Complete. Pelican 1 beginning ascent.
All right.
Liberty has seen you through.
that is it for the stream today. I've got to go back to work now. Someone remind me in my chat today, Discord. Somebody message me in Discord and remind me that I need to fix my stream because my prayer screen is still broken. For some reason, it doesn't let me change screens right now. All of my stuff is broken. So somebody put in my Discord a reminder to fix that so we can do our ending prayer again because the stuff is still borked. Tofu, thank you for playing with me and thank you for letting me use the minigun. It was a lot of fun. It was also fun to do double burns. That was cool to use double flamethrowers. So thank you everyone for joining me this morning. Thank you for listening to me rant this morning. I had a lot of big rants in here, but it was a pleasure to stream with you all this morning. Again, we will not do our ending prayer because my prayer screen is broken and I need to fix that. And it looks like the game locked up, so perfect timing. So everyone go have a wonderful and blessed day. We'll end the stream here and I will see you all again on Friday.